In today's video, we're going to create this awesome sci-fi environment from scratch. I'll take you through the entire process. Step by step, we'll be modeling everything in Blender, then moving into Unreal Engine 5.6 for texturing and lighting. And at the end, I'll show you a smooth cinematic camera animation to bring the whole scene to life. This environment is actually super easy to create. Just watch, follow along, and learn. So first of all, we'll open up Blender. I'm using Blender 4.4, but you can use any version you like. Now, let's clear up the scene a bit. I'm just going to grab the light, camera, and the default cube and delete them. Next, we'll add a new cube. I'll press Shift+A, go to Mesh, and select Cube, and there it is in our viewport. Now, we'll start shaping it into the base of our tunnel. I'll scale it along the Y-axis by pressing S and then Y, and after that, I'll adjust it slightly on the X-axis and Z-axis as well to get the right height and proportions. Finally, we'll stretch it a little more on the X-axis to make it fit perfectly, and that's it. For this part, let's switch to Edit mode by pressing Tab on the keyboard, and then hit 2 to enable edge selection. Here, we'll select one edge on the left and one on the right at the top of our tunnel. Once both edges are selected, I'll press Ctrl+B, and that's how we can add a nice bevel to smooth out the edges and give our tunnel a cleaner, more refined look. Since we're creating a sci-fi tunnel, we need to open up the entrance and exit. It's super simple. Just press 3 on the keyboard to switch to face selection mode. Now, select the front face, and while holding Shift, also select the back face. Once both faces are selected, just hit delete and choose faces, and there we go. Our sci-fi tunnel door is now open and ready. Now let's press Tab to switch back to object mode, and I'll scale it a bit more along the Y-axis to stretch the tunnel perfectly. Now we need to add one more cube, so I'll press Shift+A, go to Mesh, and select Cube again. The new cube will appear right at the center of the world by default. Next, I'll simply press G and then Y to move the cube forward and position it exactly where we need it. Now, let's scale this new cube along the X-axis. I'll press S and then X to make it a bit thinner, just adjusting it to get the perfect shape we need. Let's switch to the front view. Just hold Alt and click the middle mouse button, and we'll jump straight to the front view. From here, I'll simply press G to move the cube into position, and then use Shift+D to quickly create 2 copies of this cube. Now, let's go into Edit mode for this cube. I'll simply select the top and bottom edges at the back, and then scale them along the Z-axis to adjust the shape perfectly. Now, by pressing Ctrl+R on the keyboard, we can add loop cuts to this cube. I'm going to add a total of 4 loop cuts, 2 on the sides and 2 on the top and bottom. Just press Ctrl+R, then left-click, move your mouse to position the cut, and click again to confirm it. That's how we quickly add clean loop cuts to our model. Now, press 2 to switch to edge selection mode, and then, while holding Shift, select all the middle edges around the tunnel. Once they're selected, press Ctrl+B to add a bevel to these edges, adjust the size as you like, and then left-click to confirm. Keep these beveled faces selected, and now press E to extrude them slightly inwards. This gives our tunnel a much cleaner, more detailed look. Finally, hit Tab to switch back to object mode, and just look at that, it's already starting to look so good. Now let's jump back into Edit mode again, and add 2 more loop cuts, just like I've placed them here. Next, we'll select the edges between these 2 loop cuts and press Ctrl+B to add a nice bevel, and there we go. Just look at that. Our sci-fi environment is slowly starting to take shape, and this is just a small part of what's coming next. Now let's move to our second cube and scale it a little along the Y-axis to stretch it out slightly. After that, we'll jump into Edit mode. Here, we'll do the same thing, select the top and bottom back edges and scale them along the Z-axis to shape it properly. Next, we'll press Ctrl+R to add some loop cuts. This time, I'll scroll the mouse wheel to increase the number of cuts and place a total of 7 loop cuts. Finally, just left-click to confirm and lock them in place, and that's done. Now, we'll add one more loop cut at the bottom and another at the top of this cube. After that, I'll select the 3 middle faces right here and press E to extrude them inward. And just like that, we're adding some extra detail to make the tunnel look more sci-fi and futuristic. We'll add 2 more loop cuts at the bottom, and then select these 6 faces right here. After that, simply press the I key twice. This will create an individual inset for each face automatically. You can do it this way, or like I did, you can just press I once for a single inset, and then extrude those faces inward to add more depth. Next, I'll grab these edges here and move them slightly down to give the model a cleaner and better look. Finally, I'll select the 2 side edges and add a bevel to smooth them out nicely, and that's it for this part. And that's it, our second sci-fi model is ready. Now I'll grab both of these models and move them slightly along the Y-axis to create a little spacing between them. Next, I'll delete the default cube from the scene, and then simply duplicate this cube by pressing Shift+D, and there we go. It's perfectly placed. Now we need to create something like a pipe for our sci-fi setup. So I'll press Shift plus A, go to Curve, and select Circle. Once the circle is added, I'll simply move it closer and position it right next to all these cubes exactly where we want our pipe to start. Now, select the circle and press R, then Y, and type 90 to rotate it 90 degrees on the Y-axis. After that, press R, then Z, and type 90 again to rotate it 90 degrees on the Z-axis. Once that's done, we'll move it into position and go into edit mode to adjust its vertices, shaping and placing it exactly the way we want, just like I'm doing here. Now, on the right side panel, click on the green icon, go to the geometry section, and increase the extrude value to see how it looks. Then, under the bevel section, adjust the depth value to make it perfectly rounded. Set all these values according to the look you want. Once everything is set, simply right-click on the circle and go to Convert To, then select Mesh. This will convert our object from a curve into a mesh, so now we can edit it just like any other model. Now, adjust the size of this pipe and position it exactly where you want it. To switch to wireframe or X-ray mode, just press Shift plus Z on the keyboard. And when you're done, press Shift plus Z again to go back to solid mode. Now, select one loop of this pipe and simply extrude it outward. After that, switch to edge mode and press A to select all the edges. Then, go to the Edge menu and click on Edge Crease. On the left side panel, you'll see a slider increase its value all the way to make the edges sharp. Right now, the model still looks a bit too smooth, so to fix that, just add a loop cut along the edges to give it a cleaner and more defined shape. Now, without wasting any more time, let's start placing these pipes inside the tunnel. We'll scale them down a little to fit perfectly. After that, we'll adjust the position of the pipes, make sure they align properly, and finally delete the back part that we don't need. Our tunnel base is currently a bit too thin, so to make it thicker, we'll go to the modifier panel and apply a solidify modifier. Then simply increase the thickness until it looks just right. Now let's grab all of these objects and move them to the left side. Just press G, then Y, and position them nicely. And don't forget to save your work by pressing Ctrl plus S. Next, we'll add another cube and move it into position, scaling it along the X-axis to fit perfectly. Then, go into edit mode and scale the two back loops along the Z-axis, just like we did before. I've added 4 loop cuts here, so make sure to do the same. After that, select all 4 edges and add a bevel by pressing Ctrl plus B. Finally, select the faces along these edges and extrude them to add more depth and detail to the model. Now, we'll duplicate this cube and use the I key to inset the middle face, then move it slightly downward. Next, select this face and press P, then click. Selection, this separates the face from the main model. First, we'll give it a random color to make it stand out. On this separate face, we'll add loops just like I'm doing here, both vertical and horizontal. Then press A to select them all. Next, go to the face menu and click on Poke Faces. On the left side panel, drag the value outward and just look at that. Doesn't it already look super cool? Make some final adjustments and position this pipe exactly where it fits. Finally, select all the parts, press Shift plus D, and move them along the Y-axis. Then, simply press Shift plus R. This repeats the last action, so each time you press it, it creates a new copy in the same spacing. Keep pressing Shift plus R until you've duplicated all the pieces across the tunnel. Select all of these models and add a mirror modifier. Pick one of the models, apply the mirror modifier, and use the eyedropper to select the base tunnel. Keep the mirrored object selected and press Ctrl plus L. This opens a panel, and from here, click on Copy Modifiers. And just like that, the magic happens. Finally, scale it a little along the Z-axis to get the proportions just right. Our scene is coming together nicely. Press A to select everything, and then move it upwards using G and Z. Next, switch to the front view and add a cube. We'll move, scale, and rotate it just like I'm doing here. Then grab it and move it forward using G and Y, and scale it along the Y-axis with S plus Y. Make some small adjustments in front view for position and rotation. We won't scale this cube too much, keep it small. Later, we'll duplicate it to fill in the rest of the scene. We'll add loop cuts to this cube using plus R, just like I'm doing here. Place 2 loop cuts side by side, and also add cuts on the top and bottom. Follow exactly how I'm placing them. Make sure to add a few extra loops to give the model more detail. It's really simple once you get the hang of it. Press 3 to switch to face selection mode and select the middle face. Hold Shift and select all the middle faces along the cube. Finally, press E to extrude them inward. If you feel like you need more detail, you can always add extra loop cuts manually and extrude them the same way. Once this is done, simply press Shift plus D and move it along the Y-axis. Then, just keep pressing Shift plus R. This repeats the last action, and soon you'll have a really cool sci-fi road-like structure. Don't forget to save your file along the way so you don't lose any of your work. We need a cylinder. Add a cylinder, then scale it down to make it thinner. Next, add 2 loop cuts, one at the top and one at the bottom, just like I've done. Select one of the loops on the faces by holding Alt and left-clicking. This will select the entire loop. Press E to extrude it outward, then right-click to release it. Finally, press Alt plus S. This gives the cylinder a nice shape and a more dynamic look. Now we'll add a cube, move it slightly backward, and scale it along the X-axis. Add 4 loop cuts in the middle, just like I'm doing. Next, we'll make this cube a bit thicker and extrude the middle face inward using E. We'll also thin out the cylinder a little. Finally, select the outer faces of the cube and push them inward along the Y-axis to give it a more compact and defined look. Now, we'll grab both objects and move them into place, just like I'm positioning them here. We'll do a bit of scaling and rotation to get a better view. Next, duplicate them with Shift plus D and use Shift plus R to repeat the action. We'll create a total of 4 tubes like this. After that, move all of them slightly downward. Then, duplicate these 4 tubes to the other side using Shift plus D to balance the scene. Now, take the design cube from below, duplicate it, scale it down a bit, and rotate it slightly before positioning it perfectly. Next, we'll add a cylinder. Move it forward and scale it using Shift plus Z to make it thinner in the middle. Then, position it carefully, rotate it slightly, and make it even thinner so it fits inside the cube. Grab the vertices and move them upward to follow the sci-fi road all the way to the end. After that, we'll duplicate this cylinder, scale it down a bit, and place it next to the first one for added detail. Press Shift plus A and add a path from the curve menu. Scale it and move it into position, then rotate it along the Z-axis so it's aligned nicely with the tubes. Next, go into edit mode and start extruding the vertices along the path to follow the road, just like I'm doing here. If any vertices stick out, simply move them into place to keep everything smooth and aligned. Now, on the right side panel, click the green icon, go to Geometry, and increase the extrude value. This will make it look more like a road. Tweak it a little until it fits perfectly. Next, duplicate it toward the middle, slightly reduce the extrude value, and tweak it again to get the right shape. Then select both curves, right-click, and Convert to Mesh. Now it's no longer a curve and behaves like a proper mesh. Take the cube, duplicate it, scale it down a bit, and move it slightly outward. Then create 3 more duplicates. Next, grab the pipe, duplicate it forward, and go into edit mode. Turn on snapping and move it carefully toward the front. Snap the pipe's vertices to the cubes. It's really easy. Finally, select the 4 cubes and move them along the Y-axis to position them perfectly in the scene. Now, select all the parts one by one and duplicate them along the Y-axis using Shift plus D, just like I'm doing here. Make sure to include the tubes as well. Once everything is selected, just Shift plus D to move them forward, then keep pressing Shift plus R. This repeats the last action. Continue doing this all the way to the end of the tunnel. Don't worry if some parts stick out a bit, that's totally fine. Next, like we did with the mirror earlier, select everything except the base mesh, pick one object, and apply a mirror modifier. Use the eyedropper to select the base mesh. Finally, press Ctrl plus L and click on Copy Modifiers, and there you go. Now everything looks super clean and professional. Press Shift plus A and add another cylinder. Move it forward, scale it, and rotate it 90 degrees. Position it on top, adjust its Y-axis scale a bit, make it smaller, and place it exactly like I'm doing here. Next, go into edit mode and add a bunch of loop cuts. I've added 21 loops. But you can adjust as you like. Then select all these loops one by one while holding Alt plus Shift to select all the horizontal loops at once. Once selected, press Ctrl plus B to bevel the edges, then press E to extrude them inward. It should now start taking the look we're aiming for, detailed and clean. We'll duplicate the same cylinder, scale it a bit on top, and adjust its Y-axis scale. Then go into edit mode and pull all the selected faces outward. This gives it a much nicer and more detailed look. Next, select both cylinders and start duplicating them along the Y-axis. To repeat the duplication, just press Shift plus R, it's super easy, and each press repeats the last action. Don't forget to save your work. Now take the sci-fi road cube we made earlier, duplicate it, bring it up, switch to front view, and move it a bit. You can create a nice pattern here using simple inset and extrude techniques. Finally, grab a cylinder, scale it down, and start placing thin cylinders inside the empty spaces of the cube. Duplicate them along the pattern to make it look clean and complete. I'm placing a total of 4 pipes. On the cube, I'll add some loops and extrude them to create a sci-fi pattern, making sure it looks random and not identical. Next, select all of these and duplicate them along the Y-axis using Shift plus D. Then, use the same old trick, press Shift plus R repeatedly to repeat the command and extend the pattern down the tunnel. Finally, go back and make any final tweaks to ensure everything looks clean and balanced. Now let's add another cylinder. Scale it a bit and place it on top of the base, rotating it slightly along the Y-axis. Adjust the scale as needed. Go into Edit mode and add as many loop cuts as you like, it's up to you. After that, bevel the edges to give it a nice shape. Next, select the faces and use poke faces. You can adjust the amount to make it look just right. This will give the cylinder a cool, detailed pattern. Finally, take this patterned cylinder and duplicate it along the Y-axis. Use Shift plus R to repeat the action and extend it down the tunnel, just like before. Duplicate the cylinder and place it below, scaling it down slightly, just like I'm doing here. Keep duplicating it all the way until you reach the end of the tunnel. Next, take the sci-fi road cube, duplicate it and place it on top. You might see a double effect because of the mirror modifier. On the top part of this cube, make small modifications, just a bit of inset and extrude to add detail, nothing too much. Place a cylinder in the middle, duplicate it, and continue copying along the Y-axis. Then, select everything and use the Command Repeat shortcut to duplicate down the line. This completes the top part of the scene. Now it's time for the bottom part. Duplicate the same cube below, rotate it 90 degrees along the Y-axis so its design faces forward, and position it along the edge. Use the same duplication method, press Shift plus R repeatedly until it reaches the end. And that's how we fill the entire bottom section, matching the top part perfectly. To apply mirrors, select all the parts on one side using X-ray mode. Then, hold Shift and select a single object. Apply the mirror modifier on it, and press Ctrl plus L to copy the modifiers to all the selected parts. And that's it. Just look at how awesome it looks. Next, to expand the middle bottom section, duplicate the cube on this side and scale it along the X-axis. Then, duplicate it forward as well to continue the pattern. After that, you can fill in any remaining parts however you like. I'll scale this cube a bit larger, but feel free to create your own unique sci-fi design. Finally, duplicate it along the Y-axis to complete the structure. And that's it. The scene is ready, and that's it. Our modeling process is complete. Now go to the top left dropdown and switch to Material Preview. This will make the model look just like this, and then switch to Matte Cap to see the shadows better. Just look at how awesome it looks. Our sci-fi tunnel model is really beautiful. If you want to check out my other models, I've made this one a while ago. It has a bit more detail, but that's okay. The model we just created is no less impressive, and our sci-fi environment looks amazing. Finally, don't forget to save your project so you don't lose any of your work. Now it's time to open Unreal Engine 5.6. First, let's head over to the Epic Games launcher. Go to the Library tab, and from there, look for Unreal Engine 5.6.1. Once you find it, simply click on the Launch button, and Unreal Engine 5.6 will start loading. Once Unreal Engine 5.6 launches, you'll see the Project Creation panel. Here, we need to go to the Games section and select the third-person template. After that, go to the Browse option and choose the location where you want to save your project files. Now, let's give our project a name. I'm naming it Sci-Fi Environment. Once everything is set up, simply click on the Create button, and Unreal Engine will start creating our project. Now, Unreal Engine 5.6 has started loading again, and once it's fully launched, we're inside our project. Let's quickly take a look at the basic viewport controls. Hold the right mouse button and use W, A, S, and D to move around, just like in a game. To move up and down, you can use the E and Q keys. Simply click on any object to select it, and that's it. First, take a moment to get comfortable with these controls and set your hands properly on W, A, S, D, and then we'll move ahead to the next step. Oh, looks like our Unreal Engine 5.6 viewport navigation has flipped. Now, when we move the mouse to the left, the camera goes to the right, and when we move it to the right, it goes to the left. Basically, the controls are reversed. Now it's time to create our level. Simply go to the top left corner and click on File. From the drop-down, select New Level. A panel will open where we'll choose an empty level, and finally, click on Create. Now our scene will turn completely black. To add lighting, simply go to the Window menu, and there you'll find Environment Light Mixer. Click on it. A new panel will open, and here you just need to enable all the lights one by clicking on them. Now our scene has the default lighting setup added, including fog, sunlight, and several other effects. Now it's time to create the landscape. For this, go to the Selection Mode panel and switch to Landscape Mode. Here you can adjust the size of your landscape, but I'll keep it default. Once done, simply click on Create, and Unreal Engine will start loading the landscape. After it's created, switch back to Selection Mode, and now our default environment is ready. It's time to save the level. Simply press Ctrl plus S on your keyboard, and a Save panel will open. Here, create a new folder, give it any name you like, then inside that folder, name your level Sci-Fi, and finally click on Save. That's it. Our level has been successfully saved. I've successfully imported the sci-fi model into Unreal Engine, and it's really simple. You just need to export your model from Blender in FBX format, and then drag and drop it into the content browser in Unreal Engine. That's it, super easy. Here's our model fully imported. Now, you might notice that some black shading or flipped normals are visible on the model. Don't worry at all, we'll fix this easily in the next step. First, we need a good texture to make sure our model doesn't look completely flat or plain white. For that, I've downloaded a rusty metal texture from Polyhaven, and its name is Blue Metal Plate. This texture is high quality, so make sure to download it in ZIP format from the website. After downloading, I've placed it inside a separate folder in the Unreal Engine content browser for better organization. Now we'll start applying this texture to our entire sci-fi tunnel model. Watch closely how I do it. Step by step, this will make the model look realistic and cinematic. Simply go to the content browser and right-click inside your texture folder. From the menu, select Material and name it Metal. Now double-click on the newly created material to open the material editor. Inside the material graph, drag and drop your texture maps one by one into the graph. Take the base color texture and connect its output to the base color input of the material node. Now take the ARM texture, ambient, roughness, metallic packed map. From this, connect the R channel to the metallic input. Take the white AO texture and connect it to the ambient occlusion input. Finally, click on Apply and then Save. Our metal material is now ready and perfectly set up for our sci-fi tunnel model. Instead of dragging the material onto every piece, I just select the whole imported model and open the Details panel. In the Materials section, I pick the metal material from the content browser and click the small arrow beside the material slot to assign it. If the mesh has multiple material slots, I assign metal to each one, so the entire model gets the same look. Once it looks right, save the project so you don't lose the changes. Now switch from perspective view to top view and select the entire model, then switch back to perspective view. In the Details panel, keep clicking the arrow button next to each material slot while selecting the metal material from the content browser. This process is a bit heavy, so your PC might feel some load, but it's worth it. Just keep carefully assigning the metal material to all the slots until it's applied everywhere. After that, only a few more material slots are left, so repeat the same method for them too. Once all materials are applied properly, save everything by pressing Ctrl, Shift S to make sure your progress is safe. Now let's add some lighting so we can see the inside of the scene. I'm using a rect light and rotating it to shine properly on the model. Then, by holding Alt, I duplicate it and place it on the side as well to evenly light the scene. Here, I'm just placing some basic rect lights to brighten up the scene for now. We'll adjust the detailed lighting later. I've placed 4 rect lights and duplicated them along the scene using Alt, spreading them out so the tunnel is evenly lit all the way through. Just keep duplicating them until the entire area is covered, and that's how it looks. Right now, you might see a yellow message. This is the VSM warning. It means that some lights are overlapping each other, which is a common issue. Don't worry, we can fix this later, using the command prompt or by adjusting the light settings. You might notice something in the metal material on the left side. It looks correct, but on the right side it appears empty or invisible. This happens because two-sided is turned off in the material. Let's turn it on to fix this issue so the material shows correctly on both sides. Simply open the material, then select the main material graph. On the left side, you'll see the option for two-sided. Just enable it, then apply and save. Boom now. Our material looks much better and displays correctly from all angles. See how much better it looks now. The metal material is applied correctly and everything is showing perfectly. Now, let's move forward to the next step. Now it's time to create the emission material. First, press Ctrl plus space to open the content browser. Inside it, right-click and create a new folder named Emission Material. Open this folder, right-click again, and create a new material. Name it Blue Emission, and then double-click on it to open the material editor. Now, in the material graph, right-click and search for a constant 3 vector node, or simply press 3 on your keyboard and left-click to create it. Place it to the side. Next, add a constant node, and then right-click again to add a multiply node. Connect the constant 3 vector and the constant nodes to the A and B inputs of the multiply node. Finally, connect the output of the multiply node to the emission input of the material. Set the constant value to 3 and change the constant 3 vector color to blue. Once everything is set, click Apply and Save. Your blue emission material is now ready. Now, in the viewport, drag a plane from the Shapes panel into the scene and apply the blue emission material to it. At first, the material may not look very clear because there's no base color. So, go back into the material, copy the constant 3 vector node with Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V, and connect it to the base color input as well. Adjust the color if needed, then click Apply and Save. The emission material will look bright and clear on the plane. Scale the plane with R and move it into position. You might notice the bottom side looks empty. That's the two-sided issue. Simply open the material and enable two-sided so the material is visible from both sides. Next, move and rotate the plane to place it exactly where you want. I bring a rect light temporarily just to see how it looks, then delete it once done. You can also switch the plane to object axis using the top left corner menu for precise rotation and movement. Finally, don't forget to save all to keep your progress. I noticed that the metal texture looks too large, so we need to adjust its tiling. Open the metal material by double-clicking it, then right-click and add a texture coordinate node, or simply press U and left-click to create it. Connect the output of this node to the UV input of all the textures in the material. Select the texture coordinate node, and in the Details panel, set the tiling value to 4 on both U and V axes. Click Apply and Save. Also, enable Mirror U and Mirror 5 in the node to make sure the texture repeats correctly. Apply and save again, and that's it. The metal material tiling is now fixed. Now, take the emission plane, switch to Object Axis and duplicate it with Alt, then move it into position. Take both planes and duplicate them along the Y-axis to fill the edges. Keep duplicating the blue emission planes manually along the entire edge of the scene. Unlike Blender, Unreal doesn't have a command repeat, so you'll have to do it step by step. Once you reach the end, delete any extra planes that extend beyond the scene. This will cover the entire tunnel with the blue emission effect. I added a bookmark so I can quickly return to a specific position. You can do the same by going to the spot you want, then pressing Ctrl+1. Now select all the blue emission planes one by one using Shift. After selecting all planes, switch them to World Axis in the Object settings. Then duplicate everything with Alt. Right-click on the duplicated planes, go to Transform Mirror X, and move them to the opposite side along the X-axis. Position them carefully, and if any plane looks off, adjust it individually. Now the emission planes look balanced and fill the scene nicely. Next, duplicate the blue emission material in the content browser by pressing Ctrl+D and rename it Yellow Emission. Double-click to open it, then change the Constant 3 vector node color to yellow. Click Apply and Save. Drag a new plane from the Shapes panel into the scene and apply the yellow emission material to it. Move the plane into position, switch to Object Axis, then rotate and scale it as needed. You can also adjust individual scaling to fit it perfectly. Place it carefully so it blends nicely with the scene. Take the original yellow emission plane and duplicate along the Y-axis with Alt, placing each one carefully until you reach the end of the scene. Once all yellow emission planes are in place, select them all together using Shift, switch to World Axis, then Alt plus duplicate to the left side. Right-click, go to Transform Arrow Mirror X and position them neatly on the opposite side. Next, remove the base color from the yellow emission material. To see how it looks now, it blends perfectly. Do the same for the blue emission material by removing its base color. This gives a much cleaner, more futuristic sci-fi glow. You can experiment with different colors too, depending on your creativity. Finally, click Save All to lock in all your changes. Take another plane and apply the blue emission material. Move, scale, and rotate it to fit nicely in the scene. Then, duplicate it along the Y-axis using Alt, placing each copy carefully until you reach the end of that section. Once done, select all the lower blue emission planes one by one. Be careful to select only these planes and nothing else. After selecting them, Alt plus duplicate to the left side and move them upwards to mirror the top section. This creates a balanced and cool look in your sci-fi scene. Next, duplicate the yellow emission plane for the lower section. Reset its rotation and scale, then move and rotate it to fit above the small cubes. Place this emission plane on each of the 3 small cubes, adjusting scale and rotation so it fits nicely. Then, duplicate along the Y-axis, moving each copy forward just like before. If any plane gets slightly misaligned, pause and adjust its position accuracy. Here keeps the scene clean and consistent. Continue this process until all 3 cubes have the emission planes properly placed. Since this section is darker, increase the rect light intensity first to see the effect clearly. Then take the yellow emission planes and start placing them along the tunnel. Duplicate and move each one carefully along the Y-axis, continuing all the way to the end of the tunnel. This process can take time, so move steadily to ensure proper placement and a clean look for the final render. If it feels repetitive, put on headphones and your favorite music to make the task more enjoyable while maintaining accuracy. Once the right side is complete, copy the setup to the other sections. Take the yellow emission planes and replace their material with blue emission. Place these smaller blue emission planes carefully on the edges of the small cubes. Adjust their scale so they fit neatly. You should have 6 blue emission planes along the edge. After placing them, duplicate and move them to the top sections and continue this process along the entire tunnel. Keep repeating for each forward segment to maintain consistency throughout the scene. After some manual tweaking and careful placement along the y-axis, you'll notice the emission planes look much better. Now mirror the setup on the left side. Select all the middle emission planes line by line, making sure to pick only the ones for the left side. Once selected, go to World Axis, press Alt plus Duplicate, and then right-click Transform Mirror X. Position them carefully so they align perfectly with the left side. Take your time, don't rush. Once done, the emission planes will look consistent and really enhance the scene, making it feel much more polished and alive. Now, take the yellow emission material and duplicate it, naming the new one Green Emission. Double-click to open it, change the emission color to green, and then apply and save. Now, select the pipe and switch from Selection Mode to Modeling Mode. In the Attributes panel, click Edit Material. Click the plus button once for the default material, then click plus again. For the new slot, assign the green emission material. Use the brush tool to paint this material along the middle section of the pipe, moving the brush around as needed. Set the active material to green emission, then click Assign Active Material and hit Accept. Switch back to Selection Mode. In the Pipe's Details panel, you'll now see 2 material slots. The first is the metal material, and the second is the green emission. Repeat the same process for the other pipe. Assign the green emission to the second slot, remove any extra slots, and then duplicate these 2 pipes forward along the scene as needed. Select all the pipes together, then Alt plus drag along the y-axis to duplicate them. Delete any unnecessary ones and position the duplicates properly. Continue duplicating forward as needed. Once done, select all of them and press Ctrl G to group them. You'll see a green border around the group, indicating that the group has been successfully created. Keep duplicating the group forward along the y-axis, just like before. Delete the original pipe if it's not needed, and position the green emission pipes in place. Repeat this same process consistently until you reach the end of the scene, ensuring the green emission pipes are aligned and spaced properly. First, delete the left side original pipe. Then take the right side pipe, duplicate it with Alt, and move it to the left side. Right-click, go to Transform, and select Mirror X so it mirrors across the X-axis. Do the same for the group, creating a mirrored group for the left side. Delete any pipes without green emission and keep placing the green emission pipes along the tunnel. Continue duplicating and positioning with Alt until you reach the end of the tunnel. It will take some time, but this ensures a clean and visually appealing setup. Simply take the green emission material from the content browser and drag it onto the planes in your layout. Place it carefully in the middle sections of the design as you move along the tunnel. Keep repeating this, dragging and dropping the green emission onto the planes, and do the same for both left and right sides. This way, your design gets a consistent green glow. Continue until the whole layout is covered. Take the yellow emission plane and duplicate it downward, placing it near the cubes as you move along the tunnel. Keep duplicating and positioning them so that the pattern extends throughout the scene on the right side first, all the way to the end. Once the right side is complete, select all these yellow emission planes, duplicate them, and use Transform Mirror X to place them on the left side. Continue this process until the left side is fully aligned, ensuring the pattern stretches from start to end. Set a bookmark at the current position by pressing Ctrl+2. This lets you instantly return to this location anytime by just pressing 2 on your keyboard. Now, place the green emission pipes along the front side of the tunnel. Adjust their rotation and position as needed, then Alt plus drag to duplicate them along the side. Repeat until the front section is fully populated. With this, the emission setup is complete. The final step will be adding all the lighting, which will be heavy on your PC, so make sure your system can handle it. Start by taking a rect light from the panel and drag it into the scene near the green emission pipe. Rotate the light so it aligns with the pipe, then go to the Details panel and set its color to green. Adjust the source width and source height to roughly match the size of the pipe and move it so it sits nicely along the pipe. Grab the green rect light and duplicate it upward. Change its color to blue, reduce its size, and place it near the smaller cube. Set its intensity to 2, adjusting if needed for your scene. Then duplicate this blue light again, change its color to yellow, adjust its rotation as desired, and increase its source width to cover a larger area, just like in the example. Place a point light where the green plane was, set its color to green, lower its intensity, and position it as needed. Take the rect light, rotate it 90 degrees downward, extend its length to reach the floor, and delete the other unnecessary rect lights. Duplicate this rect light to the left side, increase its width, and adjust placement. At the right end, Place another rect light lower, reduce its height, change its color to blue, position it in the middle, and then increase its height to cover the area. First, reopen all the materials and reconnect their base color so the glow appears correctly. Duplicate the two middle rect lights upward and mirror them along the x-axis so the lights appear on top as well. A useful trick. Press G on the keyboard to enter game mode. All lights will hide. Press G again to bring them back. Duplicate the blue light and move it toward the top near the blue emission planes. Then delete unnecessary rect lights and replace them with point lights. Set these point lights to blue, lower their intensity, and adjust their positions to reflect properly. Place a yellow point light near the cube, duplicate it twice, and adjust its intensity manually. If any duplicated rect lights show a red cross, go to the Details panel and set the light to movable. Move the blue rect light upward, place the yellow point lights near the cubes, then search for skylight in the outliner and increase its intensity to 2 for more overall brightness. Again, make it movable if a red cross appears. Now it's time to tweak all the light intensities carefully. Duplicate the existing lights to the left side, rotate them individually, and place them along the corresponding emission planes. Make sure colors stay consistent. Don't accidentally assign a different colored light to the wrong emission plane. Repeat this for all right side lights, mirroring them to the left side with individual rotations. You have 3 main colors, blue, green, and yellow, but you can choose different colors if you like for variety. Finally, increase the skylight intensity to 3. After this, the scene automatically starts looking much more polished and visually striking. Duplicate the lower blue rect light to the left side and adjust its color to match the existing theme. Take your time to tweak its radius, width, and height carefully so it blends naturally and gives a better visual look. Lighting adjustments are crucial, so spend extra attention here for the most polished result. Delete the randomly placed rect lights ahead first, then take the rear lights and start duplicating them forward, just like you did with the yellow rect lights, while also doing the same with the blue lights. Rotate and position these rect lights carefully so they illuminate the tunnel evenly, then duplicate them to the left side as well. The goal is to avoid dark patches, so fill the area with lights generously for a consistent sci-fi glow. Now, take these rect lights and duplicate them forward, carrying them all the way to the tunnel's end. Make sure the colors are balanced. The yellow lights shouldn't be pure bright yellow, but rather a slight tinted yellow enough to give that subtle sci-fi glow. Keep the blue and green lights consistent as well so the overall color scheme looks futuristic and harmonious. Now go ahead and delete all the randomly placed forward rect lights. Then start duplicating your original starting lights forward, placing them systematically just like I'm doing. Since you'll be adding a lot of rect lights, it can put more load on your PC, so place them carefully. Use your bookmark, press 1, to quickly return to the starting position and check your placement from the proper view. It'll help you see everything clearly and maintain alignment. Exactly. Now take your blue lights and make sure they follow the same pattern as your starting setup, extending all the way to the end. Make sure no area is completely black, otherwise it will look unnatural. Spend extra time refining this. Keep duplicating point lights and rect lights along with the emission planes. Every emission plane should have a corresponding light nearby so nothing is left empty. Move steadily, placing lights carefully, and check from the start to see how the scene looks. This is work in progress, so take your time to make the lighting and emission feel polished and balanced. Perfect. That VSM message appears because too many overlapping lights are affecting a single pixel. Typing this in the command prompt will fix it. r.shadow.virtual.1passprojection.max lights per pixel. 50, just press enter after typing and the warning will disappear. This tells Unreal to allow more lights per pixel for virtual shadow maps, which is essential when you have a heavily lit sci-fi scene like yours. Exactly. Keep duplicating the lights carefully and place them above the emission planes just like you did. Make sure the green point lights sit properly over their corresponding green emission planes, and also extend them toward the front along the emission pipes. This will make the sci-fi tunnel lighting feel consistent and dynamic. Whenever that VSM warning pops up again, just open the command prompt and type r.shadow.virtual.1passprojection.max lights per pixel. 50, you can increase it to 100 if you want more lights per pixel, but remember this will put extra load on your PC and may slow down the viewport. Keep an eye on performance while doing this. Exactly, just keep duplicating and positioning the lights manually like you've been doing. Focus on placing each light carefully over the emission planes so the tunnel looks consistent and fully lit. And don't forget to save your work. Frequently press Ctrl-Shift-S so you don't lose any progress. It's better to save every now and then while tweaking the lights. Pressing G toggles game mode, which hides all editor visuals, including lights, so you can see your scene without distraction. Then you can select any light directly from the outliner while they're hidden, move or tweak them, and when you press G again, the lights and other editor elements reappear. It's super useful for precise placement in dense scenes without constantly hiding and unhiding objects manually. You need to select all the forward rect lights together and duplicate them, moving them forward just like I'm doing. I know the VSM message might still appear, but you can increase the value in the command prompt to remove it. Keep placing the rect lights forward all the way to the end, exactly as I'm doing. Your PC might get a bit stressed with all this, which is normal. Finally, select the skylight from the outliner and set its intensity to around 1.5. It looks really good after that. If your PC starts to feel heavy or laggy, just go to the top right corner, click the icon, and go to Viewport Scalability. From there, you can set it to high or medium to reduce the load. When you render in cinematic mode later, everything will look correct. Now, take the lights you placed on the right side and place the same lights on the left side as well. If your viewport scalability is set to medium, you might see 2 yellow messages at the top. Don't worry, they won't affect the cinematic render. You can clear them with the command prompt later. Just keep duplicating the rect lights exactly as I'm doing, moving them into position until the process is complete. Yes, I understand. This whole process is really manual and time-consuming. A faster and more efficient way would be to use blueprints in Unreal Engine to automatically place and duplicate lights, emission planes, or even props. I'll leave a comment suggestion for your viewers like this. I know this manual placement is very time-consuming. In the next video, I'll show you blueprint tips and tricks to do all this automatically, simply and easily. Stay tuned. It keeps the audience engaged and hints at an easier method in the future. Do you want me to rewrite it in a fun, casual YouTube comment tone? Exactly. Before moving to the camera animation, just tweak the middle rect light's intensity a little so it's not too bright. You can also adjust the color grading later during the final render to get a better look. If you notice any glittering or flickering in the lights, don't worry, this can be fixed during the render using the command prompt settings. Take your time to move and place the lights carefully, as small adjustments make a big difference for the final sci-fi scene. Now that the lighting is mostly done, it's time for the camera animation, which will bring all your hard work to life. To get rid of that yellow VSM message, open the command prompt in Unreal Engine and enter r.shadow.virtual.1passprojection.max_lights_per-pixel 100. Press enter and the message will disappear. This won't cause any problems during rendering, and now you can continue working on your lights and camera animation without distraction. Perfect. Now for the camera animation, we start by creating a level sequence. Click on the film icon at the top left corner of Unreal Engine, then select Add Level Sequence. Your content browser will open here. Give the sequence a name, for example, sci-fi, and click Save. Once done, the sequence will open, and you're ready to start adding and animating cameras. In the level sequence, click on the camera icon to add a camera component. On the right side, set the film back to 16:9 DSLR. Then on the left side, set the current focal length to 18. You can also adjust the camera aperture to control how much light enters. This will affect the scene's brightness and depth of field. Any flickering or light/shadow artifacts you see in the viewport are normal. They won't appear in a high-quality render. Perfect. Here's what to do for the camera animation. First, move the camera to the starting position. In the transform section, click the diamond icon in the middle to set the first keyframe. Next, go to the last frame, move the camera to the end position, and click the diamond icon again to set the final keyframe. Select both keyframes, right-click, and choose linear to make the camera move at a constant speed. Press spacebar to preview the animation. If the timing feels off, you can add more keyframes or adjust the frame range to make it smoother. For a better feel, you can delete existing keys, go to the first position, set a key, move to the last frame, adjust the camera, and set the final key again. This can make the motion more natural and cinematic. Now for rendering the camera animation, click the 3 dots at the top, then select Movie Render Queue. In the queue, click the film icon under the sequence section. A panel will open showing your sequences. Select the one named Sci-Fi. From here, you can configure render settings, output format, resolution, and folder location before starting the final render. Perfect! After selecting your sequence in Movie Render Queue, click Unsaved Config, then hit the plus button to add settings. Remove JPEG. Enable anti-aliasing and set its value to 32. Adjust camera shutter timing to frame close. Add console variables by clicking plus and enter the command prompt values, as shown on your screen, and set both values to 100. Add game override. Add high resolution. Add EXR sequence. Next, go to Output, set FPS to 30, and choose the folder path for your rendered files. Click Accept, then finally click Render Local to start rendering your camera animation. Your sci-fi scene animation will now begin rendering with all high-quality settings applied. At the start, Unreal will compile a few shaders, and once that's done, the render will begin. And that's it. In this video, we've created this sci-fi environment in a really simple and easy way. If you face any issues with any part of the process, feel free to ask in the comments. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Your support really motivates me to make more content. Finally, let me know in the comments which environment you want me to create in the next video. Now, sit back and watch the final render.